Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, members only live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're watching after the fact because you're not a member, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to take part in these members only live streams. Now, we are joined by Neil and Eli, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Let's get it on. Whatever could be getting on.
Oh, we're getting on with
Yeah,
Flat
it's
Earth.
just flat. It's over.
Yeah, that's the sentiment in the pre-show. Earth's measured flat, and once you understand and appreciate that wholeheartedly, you can take any globe-believing fundamentalist religious zealot with their claim to a flat Earth that is required for their claim. And that is very, very powerful. Furthermore, in case you're a member and you want to watch it on the recording with, 40-odd minutes of extra footage if this computer crashes, was the fact that refraction annihilates their positioning system with respect to geometry if they're going to claim latitude. Latitude on a globe requires that you have a physical geometric horizon that matches up with what you are measuring with respect to the flat plane that angles can only come from. Saying refraction is a further death knell to Earth's claim to be spherical. It's devastating. 4 years of barking refraction was topped off quite nicely by Rachy50 saying, "What is it, no Atmo Day? How epic. So did McToon this morning in my comments section on the Black Swan video." All right, so these elevation angle measurements are taken on no Atmo Day for a globe to work, because you need geometric positions to be on the ground. And recently, we've been told every single time we point out how the Earth is being measured that those measurements are not the ground. And they are. They're just not your globe ground. Refraction, you say? So definitely not the globe ground. It's all coming together quite nicely in 2024, is it not?
Yes, it is, and I'm glad. It's like funny anymore. When they say
Neil and George. Neil and George. When they say,
I thought it was Eli. It's funny. It's funny that she would come out right at this time and say that. And you're right. He's been barking it for how long? It was actually set up by QE, and he couldn't wait for them to say refraction, and they're still barking it.
I've just realised something really bad. I called her a bimbo again. When I say bimbo, it's my way of saying dumb blonde, even though she's not blonde. That's just my word for dumb blonde. And I had, after the fact chat last time, I critiqued Rachy50's I shouldn't smile with Paula, and she was like, "Don't use that word. There's no need." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't really. It's going to weaken my argument." And then what did I do last time I critiqued her literally 20 minutes ago? Called her a bimbo. I'm really sorry, Paula. I'm not sorry, Rachy.
Yeah, but Nathan, hold on, Nathan, hold on. You're talking about a show. I agree. I would like the language to be cleaned up. There's going to be occasionals when things get hot where people slip. There's certain things I never liked that you said, and I don't want to repeat them. But you're talking about people that are not living in reality. And it's a very contentious subject. So, I mean, we're going to clean it up the best we can. But something like that, it don't bother me.
Well, fair enough. I wasn't referring to you.
Yeah, I know. You're referring to Paula, and I'm speaking to Paula too right now. I don't find that offensive compared to what you said the other day or when you used to do the gaming phrase, let's just say.
Neither event. When you've said to somebody, "Yes, I appreciate and acknowledge what you said," and then you go on to forget that you've agreed to not use certain derogatory language, as I did with Paula, and then you essentially renege on that, all you can do is say, "I've let myself down, I've let you down, I've let everyone down." Meanwhile, we haven't got a geometric point on the ground according to them. They're telling us how refracted it is at the moment, which is absolutely perfect. The timing couldn't be better. Not the ground? What, just not the ground, as in not mapping when we're measuring Earth? That's not the ground. Not the globe ground, you mean? What's that? It's not geometric point on the ground. It's refracted. So definitely not the ground when we measure any angles to anything to map the ground. Not those points that you say are on your globe ground, then. It's all coming together beautifully. Who's Bushel? Hey, Bushel. That's a new one on me.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Any of the new faces?
Just enjoying the show.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Chocolate. Any other new names?
Oh, Chocolate, you gotta know what's going on.
What's going on?
Neil, you want to tell him?
We
Christmas
talking about
came
I'm
more
in the middle of an
feelings and
order.
stuff.
I think when they're both being really cryptic with each other, it's best you interrupt immediately, Neil.
He asked me Neil. He said, Neil,
Did
do you
he?
want to tell him? I can't. I'm busy.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, I take it back. I'm so sorry. I've let myself down. I've let you down. Let Flat Earth down.
What are you talking about?
Well, Nathan, give him a little rundown of Sunday because I also can't. I can't, but I want it to be talked about. Obviously, I'm like a kid in the candy store.
Sure.
For the second time and third time.
Okay, when you're taking elevation angle measurements to Polaris and doing mapping, if you're going to make the claim that the globe Earth is the surface, then the points on the ground must be those geometric points to match and back engineer a flat Earth measurement. That's an elevation angle measurement to Polaris. It can only be measured on a flat Earth. It's got to match the surface of the globe. Now, if they assert that because your measurement requires a flat plane, it will be a tangent plane from a single position at your feet by way of dropping a plumb bob or whatever they acquire it with, then those points that extend out on the plane that you're actually measuring with respect to Earth's surface, that's a plane and a measurement, that the globe say isn't the ground. Ergo, their system to claim positions on the ground when wrapping latitude and longitude around a sphere, according to their very disclaimer, isn't the ground anymore. Tangent planes, according to them, extend from a single point on a sphere out into space, and that's where you're going to measure with respect to, because you've got to measure on a plane if you're measuring an elevation angle. But it is no longer the ground. Same thing applies to refraction. What's that? No atmo day. So we should bend these lines. That means your globe system fails. It's no longer the positions on the ground in maps that you say are globe-shaped. They're not. Nevertheless, the positions on your globe-shaped reification must be the points on the ground when measured. That's how it works. The moment you tell us that it's measured off a tangent plane, they're not the ground anymore. It fails.
Tell you, that's where it started, the Black Swan, with the it's not the ground, when they denied the physicality of their Earth curve.
Yep.
Of
Oh,
their
he got it.
geometric
He got
horizon.
it. He got it. Oh,
Yeah, the dominoes
Oh,
are
you
falling.
got that. Of course.
Eli joined at the beginning
Yeah,
of the
Chocolate
pre-show.
brought it up yesterday.
Eli joined at the beginning of the pre-show and phrased it really carefully to make it sound like he was telling me something new, but he'd obviously appreciated it off the back of what he'd heard us discussing in Ballbusters. So I can't remember how he phrased it, but he phrased it really carefully to catch me off guard, which it did and made me smile. Been a good
Yeah,
day.
if the horizon is refracted, it's not geometrical anymore. It's game over.
Yeah, it needs to be geometric if you're going to map it onto points on a sphere that are the ground. So, yeah, refraction double whammy with tangent planes. If it's not the ground that they're stating, that's their explicit statement at the moment. It's not the ground, right? End quote. Lots of fundies on the globe side. Well, if that is the case, then it is not the globe ground because we are measuring the ground. That is a fact.
So this is
flat.
how I put it. I put it across like this. You know, it's fancy, but it's not new. It's the same sexy tuxedo in the back of the closet. So you know, if latitude lines are derived using a tangent to the horizon must be the distance of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. The horizon is not the distance of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, latitude lines aren't derived using a tangent to the horizon.
Correct. Wow, that was excellent. Where did you get that? Did you do that?
Yeah.
That's epic. Say that again.
It's because I tried to keep it very simple.
No,
I'm
don't
like,
disclaim it.
well,
Just say it. That was brilliant. You don't need any more. Don't need another drum roll. That was brilliant. Just repeat it. That was fantastic.
if latitude lines are derived using a tangent to the horizon must be the distance of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. The horizon is not the distance of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, latitude lines aren't derived using a tangent to the horizon.
Man, I can just see that written out, not only with quotes, but with square brackets saying "See Black Swan." That is so brilliant. Eli Freeland, ladies and gentlemen,
Well, thank you.
That was brilliant.
So the
I'm
ground
really,
isn't
really impressed.
the ground.
Again, whoever that was in just Discord.
Sorry, yeah. So the ground isn't the ground. The horizon is Earth curve, but it's not Earth curve, and gravity is a force, but it's not a force.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. Yeah, Earth's flat, and they need it to be flat. And the moment they deny measurements of the ground, which is flat, they're denying the principles that must be applied to their claim that the ground is the ball ground with latitude and longitude lines plotted on it. It isn't by their own disclaimers. If the points of latitude are the points of latitude on the ball, then the horizon, if measured with a tangent plane, must represent the geometric horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And it isn't. See Black Swan. Go. What's the conclusion in your... It was a modus tollens, but what was your conclusion in it, Eli? What's your not Q statement in your modus tollens?
Therefore, the lines aren't derived using a tangent to the horizon.
Yeah. They're derived using a flat plane, because a tangent's only being inferred because they need a flat plane to get an elevation angle, and it is the ground. So the ground is exactly as being measured. It's measured flat. It's an axiom. It's not like it's an arguable point at this stage. Earth is just measured flat.
I really can't stand that okie dokie word, tangent. Because what is a tangent again?
Single point, straight line meeting a sphere.
Oh yeah, that's the part that I don't really like. That sphere part. So that tangent word to me just sounds like an affirming consequent, all wrapped up in a beautiful little word called tangent.
Yeah, the affirming the consequent.
Yeah, but the tangent
Is Earth, if Earth's a sphere, then I will measure a tangent, a flat plane with a dingleberry dangling beneath it. I do measure a flat plane, therefore there is a dingleberry dangling beneath it.
Yeah, but the tangent we're talking about is when you're looking through the scope of the sextant at the horizon, was it to establish the horizontal plane, a zero elevation left to right, like a protractor, then you bring the celestial body just kissing the horizon. That's the only tangent that we're talking about. But when it's just kissing the horizon, you need to make sure he's right in the center at 90 degrees before you mark. It's the only tangent in celestial navigation is that one, when you bring the celestial down to the horizon line.
Make the conclusion. This is all yours.
Conclusion is that you're using the horizon as a horizontal plane, as an orientation for establishing the horizontal plane, not a geometrical place of reference.
Go.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Go. Welcome to Flat Earth. Absolutely. Okay, we are actually going out live now, so if this computer does crash, embarrassing as it's going to be, tough luck. It's going to be embarrassing for a bigger audience now, because I've changed it from members only to live. So, welcome, if you've just joined us from the public. We're going to be covering a video. So, the video is by a videographer who's actually quite a small YouTuber called YouAreMopped, who is an anti-flat earther. Whoops, pressed the wrong button. I've subscribed by mistake. Didn't want to do that. I just wanted to share his link. So there's a link going by to this YouTuber. YouTube's what? I think it couldn't update. Hopefully we're live. I've just got a message saying it didn't update. We may or may not be live to a public audience in either event. It's being recorded, so it'll go out eventually to the public. But we're going to be covering an interview that was done by this YouTuber, YouAreMopped, with SciManDan. So we're going to address a few little details in his video as we go through it. So if you're in the live stream chat, please let this videographer know. So there we go. Debatable D is in the chat, and he's he's not a member, so I'm pretty sure this is going out live now. Cool. Please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook and X. There's a link going by to this videographer, so please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And drop him a like. Help him along in the algorithmic love. The idea being that were he to make a response, limited though his audience is, compared to mine at least, he would put a link to my video and share in the algorithmic love. Or indeed perhaps have a conversation with us, as our doors are open daily, but we'll get to that when we get to it in the video. Anybody else seen this video? The video is called Are Flat Earthers Ignorant or Dishonest? ? Featuring SciManDan, YouAreMopped, episode 5, in parentheses, part 1. Anybody seen it? I would assume not. He's a very small videographer, to be fair to him. Not bad, though. No? Right, we'll move along then in that case.
Stupid. Are flat earthers stupid? So this is my conversation with SciManDan. We covered a variety of topics, and I've broken our conversation into 2 parts. In this video, we discuss flat earth and his opinion of some well-known flat earthers, why he doesn't engage in debates, his thoughts on UFOs and UAPs, the possibility of life in the universe, and artificial intelligence. Part 2 of our conversation will be available 2 days after this one, so keep an eye out for that. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm a new channel and really do appreciate every single like and new subscriber.
So you'll definitely appreciate me sending people from my audience to yours to leave a comment and say, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. He responded to your video, or whatever it is you good people in the audience say.
Alternatively, if you think I should quit YouTube and delete my channel because I
No, definitely not. I wish you every success.
suck, let me know in the comments below. Also, big thanks to SciManDan for spending the time to chat with me. If you're not already subscribed to his channel, the link will be in the description below. Definitely go check that out. Lastly, I also make content where I react and attempt to debunk various videos on things such as Illuminati conspiracies or that claim to be evidence of ghosts and demons. So check those out and let me know what you think. All right, that's it. Thanks, and now back to the conversation.
Like I say, link is whizzing on by to this videographer. So go and leave him a comment at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
What's up, everybody? I am back with another very special guest, SciManDan. Dan, I really appreciate you doing this. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
All right. I want to jump right in. Are flat earthers stupid?
Name that fallacy.
Poisoning the well.
Fallacy of retardation.
I wasn't going to peg it as poisoning the well, but you are right. That's one. I was going to stereotyping fallacy.
Yeah.
It's also
I
another
think
one.
Go ahead, whoever that was. All right, just before you
It's
do,
also
anybody know what show
another-
number this is? I had this show written down as members only FED, and I don't actually know what show number it is today. Anybody know? Is it 2047?
I think it's
Yeah.
2047, Nathan.
Thank you. We were talking about which fallacy he was using, and it's all gone silent while I changed the title.
It's a hominin attack.
No, because there's no argument put forward yet to have an address put to a man. It's put to the stereotype of all flat earthers being dumb. It's like, okay, so what about the ones that are trained professionals in jobs that require them to have a certain degree of intelligence? If they're a flat earther, they're automatically in this stereotype? No, of course not. It's a stereotyping fallacy. But that's what he's opened with. Fairly standard fare thus far, I think you'll all agree. Who is this? SciManDan. SCI. I'm just changing the title on the fly. In case you're wondering why we've not got a picture for this, it's because I'm running on a very bare bones show, because there's a very high chance that the computer will crash. So to limit that possibility of that before the man with the RAM comes round, I'm going to run the show as bare bones as I can, just to limit the chance of it crashing. So there we go. That's why I'm doing things like this on the fly. So SciManDan, and what's it? YouAreMopped. Is that right? YouAreMopped. Hopefully this gives people time to actually go and leave the guy a comment, because there's going to be a slight interlude while I do this. Mopped. There we go. Right, it's got a proper title now.
Some are stupid. Some know what they're doing. Some know exactly what they're doing, and they don't believe it. Some are stupid's harsh. I think uneducated is probably the best thing to say. But then, you get these people who have conspiratorial mindsets. Your moon landing
This is
deniers and
poison
that.
in the well right here.
Come again?
This part is poison in the well. For sure.
That may be the case, but I actually agree with him. Even by stereotyping fallacy. At the moment, we're on a vibe that says that the people who've come to this subject have come by means of conspiracy. And when they just hear the mundane fact that Earth is measured flat, they want more. They want ether, they want upward rising Earth, they want whatever fantasy that's satisfying to their desire for conspiracy. Now, we don't, or moving into 2024, we don't want that here. We just want to lay down the facts about how Earth's measured. So we're in a different subcategory, and we're moaning about the people around us, flat earthers that is, that are conspiratorial in nature. Now, he's bundling the moon landing into that as an example for context in this show, in this discussion, because obviously SciManDan's anti-flat Earth. So he's saying, by example of moon landing, well, the moon landing isn't real. You can't have men in rockets traversing high-pressure gas into an area of vacuum to travel to the moon, because if they can travel through an area of vacuum, then so would all the high-pressure gas. We'd all be dead. So that debunks the moon landing. Now, he would assert that that's conspiracy theory, because he would offer up, presumably, people doing a bad job of showing what pretend to be moon with the flag waving on it out in space, a sky vacuum where gas isn't filling it, looking back at an Earth that's sphere-shaped with gas and clouds visible that aren't dispersing into a black area that's a vacuum. It's absurd. It's stupid. We can debunk it. But he sees that as us, generally, as stereotyper, would be conspiratorial. Now, I don't deny that. I say that the majority of the people in the flat Earth arena are conspiratorial. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not out to agree with Dan. I'm just pointing out the fact that we align on that point. It might not align on his example with the moon landing, as I swigged down a cup of coffee.
And the sort like that. And when Flat Earth came along, it was sort of like the perfect conspiracy for them, because it bought into things like the moon landing, which is obviously part of it as well. And it was like the perfect conspiracy for them to believe that was real.
I agree. I think the controlled opposition route to flat Earth is a very conspiratorial subject matter that does hinge around things like the moon landing conspiracy and the controlled opposition for how it should be debunked, with things like waving flags or lighting in an area that violates the law of nature, second law of thermodynamics, gas-filled space. If they've travelled through space to get to the moon, then gas-filled space, we'd all be dead. It doesn't make sense. The explanation from anti-flat earthers who have this put to them is to say that the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the globe Earth, when it's a law of nature. Gas-filled space, it's a law of nature. Sky is not a vacuum. Certainly isn't a vacuum that men have travelled through. They're liars. But again, I have to agree with Dan in his sentiment. He's saying for the people who arrived at flat Earth, by the means he's discussing, and frankly I agree with him, they've arrived and they're like, wow, this is like the perfect conspiracy. Yeah, because they haven't got here through flat Earth proof, have they? We were on that path, and we now critique and criticise the path that we and others have got here with. Again, I find myself in alignment with what Dan's saying in this regard.
Because they have that little thing that makes them think they know something that no one else does, and it makes...
Yeah, like with most conspiracy theories. The notion of being deceived about the Earth being flat is something that people who are conspiratorial in nature latch onto because it's exciting, not because they've found proof that the Earth is measured flat, as we are presenting in 2024. And it is assuredly measured flat.
Makes them feel good, and there's a little community, and they all...
But even before, can I just say, even before the measurement that is flat, or knowing that it's measured flat, he's like, oh, they've just got that little thing that makes them think they know something that others don't. Sorry, we all have an entire lifetime, whatever that lifetime may be, of living on a flat stationary Earth, of having the Earth represent itself to us the way it is. So sorry, it's not that we just got this thing. Some of us looks at reality. Some of us looked at reality and said, wait a minute, the reality that I actually live does not purport to this story that I'm told, right? So that's a lifetime of evidence against this story. So I'm sorry, Dan, that's nonsense.
Yeah,
ahead,
to
bro.
his point about us knowing something that no one else knows. Well, yeah, we do know a ton of facts and tidbits that most people don't know. Everybody who's listening could just walk up to someone and ask them, "Hey, do you know the radius of the Earth?" They're going to be like, no." So, I mean, it's technically true. What's the problem?
Did you want to get something in, John? Hello, by the way.
Hey, now that are we studying SciManDan?
This is an interview, so yeah.
Talk amongst each other in the community, which sometimes can be a bit of a lonely place, which we've seen from flat earthers who have come back to the, call it the globe side, but normality. Yeah, so I think stupid is a bit harsh, but I think uneducated and probably stubborn as well.
Okay. Again, is this by stereotype? All of us are stubborn and uneducated? Generally speaking, we're stubborn and uneducated?
Yeah, we're stubborn, all right. Because you know why? Because they lack trust. we don't trust the story we were told anymore. So we're stubborn because we won't go back to it. Idiots.
These bloody flat earthers. We hold up 3 fingers, tell them it's 4, and they just refuse point blank to say 4. Yeah, aren't we stubborn?
I think that's fair, and I want to emphasize one thing you...
Fair? Your stereotyping fallacy is fair? Maybe you're poorly educated. Were you unaware of fallacious reasoning? Maybe it's your education, according to SciManDan.
just said they feel like they have some secret knowledge. I think that plays.
They say they feel like they have some secret knowledge. Where have you heard someone say that? Do you have an example? Can you quote someone who said that, please? Because you're saying they said it. Now, obviously, I've already identified the stereotyping fallacy that you're employing here, but I implore you to demonstrate me wrong by giving us a quote where somebody has said, actually, I feel like I've got an exemplary, special, secret understanding, and that is what appeals to me. I doubt you will find someone to actually declare that. Now, again, as weird as it sounds to challenge you to prove your stereotyping fallacy, in many ways I agree with you. It's just I agree with you in sentiment rather than in a statement where I claim that they... How would you like it if I did it to you? Yeah? Started putting quotes around what they say and attribute it to you when you most assuredly haven't said it. I assume you wouldn't be very pleased. Yeah, like I'm not.
It's a big part. You also mentioned not all of them are completely honest. At least that's what you were insinuating. And that was a big part of my conversation with Creed.
So, okay, this is fair enough. I mean, people all lie. Everybody lies. But if you're going to peg us down by stereotype and then yep along, Dan, obviously the standard is honesty. So, I've already watched this. We'll see how honest Dan is, especially when it comes to his disclaimers about not debating people. That's an interesting statement to have made, given that you proactively tweeted me. But we'll get to that, Dan. We'll get to your debating point you tweeted to me proactively. Yeah, entered into the debate with me via Twitter. You say you don't, but we'll see how that pads out in terms of its truthfulness shortly, won't we, when we get to you saying it. I almost spoiled it.
Yeah, I do want to hear about those, what were they called? Those reference frames?
No, that's not true. Dan doesn't debate people. We'll get to that.
My bad.
Ricky and MC Toon. What is your opinion in general? MC Toon broke it down between, or he called them t-shirt sellers and t-shirt buyers. So
really? See, I've spoken to Toon, given that he commented on my video this morning, now 88 times to point out that, I mean, obviously we're talking about no Atmo day angles. We'll just make that absolutely clear just in case Rachy50's listening. Yeah? We'll make it clear right now that Toon's angles in his $10,000 challenge, they're no Atmo day angles. And they've got to match with the surface of Earth. And they're flat. Yeah, just wanted to get that clear. 88 times I personally have told Toon that his challenge for 10k requires a flat Earth. For the angles in his challenge, you know those little numbers with degrees after them? Yeah, those are measured on a flat Earth. It's the only way they can be measured. I've made him aware of this 88 times. Ergo Toon absolutely knows Earth is flat. Just so you know, just for your information. I can't put it on screen, Lumpy, but I'm going to read out your super chat. Thank you very much for super chatting. I'm really sorry that I can't put it on screen, but I'm going to read it anyway. Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum says, somebody said, don't use this or that word, then misogyny is the... I'll start that again. Somebody said, don't use this or that word, then misogyny, it is offensive and used by radical feminists. Anybody know what he's talking about? At the beginning of the live show, I said that I was apologetic to Paula because we'd had a discussion specifically about not calling women bimbos, which is a term I use to mean like blonde bimbo, like you're stupid. Well, she said, don't do that. And I went, okay, I won't. And I did. So I apologise to Paula, not to the person I called a bimbo. Maybe I should, maybe I won't. I don't know. It's my failings in terms of my adhering to something I've agreed to do with somebody. Maybe even misinterpreted that, Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. I don't know. In any event, thank you for your super chat.
Hold
Really
on.
appreciate the support.
Nathan, if it looks like a duck, and walks like a duck, and talks like a duck, then it's a duck, my friend. And what she said in that video, yeah, okay.
Well, things on my computer have started flashing, so there's a good chance we may only get a limited time live. If the computer all goes black, I'm not going to do another live stream too. I wasn't even going to go live. I was going to keep it members only. But as things are starting to look like they're breaking, we'll carry on with the video until it does break. My computer, that is. Like I say, I've got an engineer coming out. I say engineer, my mate, Craig.
So you have people who are potentially making money off
Yes.
YouTube videos. What percentage of them do you think they're all liars, or do some of them believe what they say?
I think if you're talking about those sorts who are in it for financial reasons, who are just putting on an act and a show and maybe being a little bit, noisy and argumentative deliberately, I'd say that's in the region of 10 and 20% of flat earthers that we know of who are.
Got a quote from Vic Reeves about percentages. 67.4% of all statistics are made up on the spot. Vic Reeves.
I was
That's
literally
correct. Are we
gonna
gonna
ask you to quote that because you just pulled that out of his butt. Are you kidding?
Are we going to
online.
get any proof of the globe or not? Because if there's proof of the globe, there would be no flat earth debate. Are we going to get any proofsies?
No, Earth's measured flat, Neil. If there were proofsies, and I did actually leave this for the guy in the comment, right? After I watched this video, I left him a fairly lengthy comment. And one of the things, after leaving the comment, so I left him 2 comments, I said was, I've made $0 from this comment. And it was a fairly lengthy comment. It made me took me 10 minutes to type out and spell check and make sure I'd not made any egregious errors in how I was stating something. But made my points that I'm essentially making now while I'm responding to it, to him directly in the comments. And I said, look, this doesn't financially benefit me. You know, in other words, making this point that Dan's making now, completely wrong. It's a total lie. Say, oh, well, they're only financially motivated. And I won't spoil what Dan's going to go on to say shortly. But my point is that I had to iterate that to this guy. It's like, you are being told I'm only here for profit. Yeah, I'm here telling you how Earth's measured flat. And this is my point here, offering you the opportunity to present any globe claim that you feel is evidence for a globe. And I'll show you how that evidence you believe proves your fundamentalist zealot faith in a globe Earth is measured with a flat plane. A flat Earth will be required for your globe belief, regardless of what you throw at me, in all instances. And I put that in a comment. Now, did I financially benefit from that? No. Far from it. Now, this I do. This is my show, obviously. I've got 2 super chats that I'll need to read out. So, wonderful. I really like that feature, by the way. You can now give likes to super chats. So, INFE has given me $10 and said, Earth is flat, stationary, non-rotating. Now, he's quoting NASA. And he's got 3 likes for it. He's getting a 4th one from me. Oh, no, I can't like it. What? I can't give you. I can give it a heart. I see. So yeah. Oh, my stream's telling me things are going wrong. Right, we better get on with this video. Thank you for the super chat, INFE.
There's a massive chunk in the middle who watch content and are flat earthers, but don't make any content. And then on the other end of this scale, you've probably got another 15% or so which make content who genuinely believe it. From my experience in the last 6 years, I think that's roughly where they all lie.
My interview or conversation with Creaky, you actually entitled The Dishonesty of Flat Earth. You seem like, I don't know, less pessimistic. It sounds like you actually think not a huge percent of them are liars, whereas
I mean, I don't know where Dan's going to get the information in this regard from. In the sentiment of my comment to him, it's, well, is Dan divining this from a crystal ball or what?
Creaky and MC Toon almost don't want to believe any of them.
MC Toon doesn't want to believe what? That his angles in his challenge are measured with respect to a flat Earth. They are. I mean, what is it? No Atmo Day? Right, Rachy?
You got to lie to Flurf. They are all liars.
Got a lie to Flurf? What about your angles off a flat Earth there, Toon? I mean, I've told you 88 times that your challenge requires Earth be measured flat for the angles in your challenge. What have you done? You came back and told me that I was ignoring atmosphere today in my comments section for the Black Swan video, the most recent one. Your response was to say, oh, Flurf's ignoring atmosphere again. All words to that effect. Toon is an outright liar. He knows Earth is flat. He's got it measured that way in his challenge. And I've pointed it out to him, I kid you not, 88 times. Now, he may exceed if he keeps commenting on my videos. I don't go to Toon's, I don't watch his stuff. He watches mine, obviously. But 88 times I've responded to him, pointing out he's measured a flat Earth in his challenge. The only person that's come close to that is Conspiracy Cats. With How Do You Have Gas Pressure Without a Container? He had it put to him over 100 times. And I suspect Toon will get close too, because he's obviously triggered about atmosphere. What, Atmo Day for the angles that you measured off a flat plane there, Toon? Maybe you can address that. Is it no Atmo Day for those angles in your challenge? Off a flat Earth? Unlucky. As for this guy, Creaky Binder, he attacks that CC guy, that Chris guy. These people attack the most low-hanging fruit there is.
Right.
Okay.
At least the ones that are online, the personalities online that we all know. Yeah. Let me give you a few names. Someone you made a video about recently, and you've probably made, I don't know, dozens of videos about CC, Chris from New York.
Yeah.
Why is he the first person they go to? I don't get it. They're just bullies, aren't they? You're picking off the weakest one in the fold. Is that what this is?
Who did it?
You said something in your...
Oh, some guy. I only ever see him in anti-flat earther videos. I've never watched him. He obviously doesn't come up on my subscription feeds or suggestions, being is exactly the same subject as me. But he's never been suggested to me. I don't know who he is. I only ever see him in anti-flat earther videos, like loads of them. It's like, what, is he like the lame duck of the flat earth that they pick off from the back? Like lowest hanging fruit possible, while he sits slurping up his coffee, talking about nothing. Because that's what they all react to. I kid you not.
Recent video to where at the end you said, deep down, you think he knows that he's wrong.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So
I've got this crystal ball, right? And I can see into the thoughts of this other man. That's what Dan is about to essentially say.
I think that he's so far in now that even if he wanted to say, yeah, I was wrong, I think his own, his own ego won't let him admit that he's wrong. Possibly, I don't know. I mean, I think he's definitely genuine the way he is.
Yeah.
And he definitely comes across as believing it. But I do think...
Where's this guy, the deception detective? What are you doing? Statement analysis on him? I mean, what is it that gives you that impression? Based on what? I mean, obviously it's only Dan's opinion based on what he saw in his crystal ball. But based on what? When we recently go over, or have recently gone over the deception detective's material, praising him highly for taking people at the words that they say, yet this guy divines the motivation of others based on literally his viewings of a crystal ball. I mean, he hasn't given anything yet, but that's the only thing it can be taken from, I assure you. It's got nothing. You can't divine the motivations of other men, Dan. I mean, who do you think you are?
I think that deep down, he's had doubts, but he's just never going to act on those doubts because he's.
I think deep down, Dan is truly, truly sad. Like inside he weeps, his heart yearns to be liked, to be favoured. That's why he's gone into a YouTube career, because deep down he's a very depressed man. That's what I divine from my crystal ball. Oh, crystal ball, how depressed is Dan? Dan is very depressed. I think deep down Dan is very, very depressed. Sorry, what the hell, Dan?
Nathan, who are they talking about?
Who cares? They don't know. It wouldn't matter if it was his sister and he lived with her his entire life. He doesn't know. He can't divine the motivation of others. This is pathetic. But he's going to tell us what deep down he thinks another man feels. Really, Dan? Oh my God. Okay.
Maybe it's projection. Maybe
Most
that's how
likely.
he feels.
Most likely.
He's so far in now, and he's made so much content. But he's a very religious flat earther. So, and the religious flat earthers tend to be the ones that are
Stereotyped by anti-flat earthers and numpties who don't appreciate what a stereotyping fallacy is.
saying what they think is true, that they believe.
All of the Christian flat earthers do that, don't they, Dan? By stereotyping fallacy, because that's how the world works, by stereotype. This guy is so dense.
Couldn't agree more with you on that about.
Oh, really? You agree with this stereotyping generalization fallacy, do you there, numpty? Wow. Well, isn't that interesting? So maybe you're poorly educated in the ways of logic and reasoning, because that's fallacious, my friend. Happy to educate you.
Chris. Creaky was in agreement that he believes the earth is flat, and honestly does. But I think...
I mean, if you've got a consensus about this man's thoughts and feelings and motivation, then obviously it's the truth. Maybe we could divine a consensus together about Dan's depression. Can we all come to a consensus about what Dan feels deep down? Gentlemen, we are all in concession and agreement and consensus about Dan's feelings deep down that we all motivate together from our crystal balls collectively, aren't we?
Why are we having a belief about what is? What the hell's going on here?
According to Christians, if we go by the word of God, and the Bible clearly doesn't speak about a globe, if you want to be technical.
Like, why are you buying into the stereotyping fallacy and defending this, Neil?
think when you said...
Well, I'm going to defend Christians. The word of God does not have the globe in the Bible. Nowhere inferred at all.
You're not taking my hint. I'll just move on.
Deep down,
Yeah.
he's got doubts.
Way down into his...
Deep down in the crystal ball. Dan is very sad. My word, gentlemen, my word.
His blackened heart, yeah.
His blackened heart?
What the hell am I listening to right now?
Well, Chocolate, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get when they refute flat Earth. So this is what you're going to get.
Let me ask you about a few others.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was about to start speaking Shakespeare. Never mind. Wrong place, wrong time.
Flat Earth Dave.
Flat Earth Dave. That's a tough one because obviously he's making money out of it. But I do think he believes it.
Really?
Again, he's another religious one. I don't know. That's a tough one, actually, because he's got a lot of financial eggs in the basket for it, hasn't he?
Yeah, as far as I understand, yeah.
And name that fallacy. An appeal to motive.
I was going to say that.
You didn't know, did you? I had to do it.
I was going to say motivation.
It's a tough one. I think even if he did realise, he probably is in too.
Realise what, Dan? That Earth's measured flat? Well, hopefully, Flat Earth Dave will swing by and realise that arguments could be better. Because he hasn't convinced you, right? Yeah, well, we know that. Hopefully you'll get to see this and you'll know that Earth's measured flat.
Too far deep financially to pull out of that one.
Again, sounds like projection to me.
I've spoken with Flatzoid, not directly, but kind of back and forth in videos. Well, he actually reacted to my conversation with Creaky, and he was in agreement that Flat Earth Dave is a fake flat earther.
So why is Flatzoid divining Dave's motivation? You know, beyond what he actually says?
Yeah, it's a definite possibility. Definite possibility. Yeah, flat's always interesting because he's although obviously he's wrong, he's
About what? Name that fallacy.
Really?
Baseless generalization fallacy. Just wrong. Really, Dan? Okay.
quite honest on his opinions on other flat earthers.
Wrong but honest when he divines the motivation of Flat Earth Dave. Yeah, we've already critiqued him for that, but you agree. Wow, how interesting.
Oh, so usually he's wrong, but he tends to be right when he's criticizing the same people that we criticize. Okay, that checks out.
Yep.
He doesn't always agree with all of them. It's quite refreshing, actually, from a flat earther.
Yeah, he believed that Eric Dubay was an honest flat earther. What do you think?
Back to divining people's motivation. Sorry, honesty in terms of what he actually says is irrelevant. It's how well have you understood and then refuted his information if you say you can. Not whether or not he's honest about it. It is what it is when it comes to most of Eric Dubay's information, regardless of whether I agree with some of it or not. It's just information that you can take at face value and say, I agree, I think he's wrong. But not, I think Eric, when he portrays this information, right or wrong, is being dishonest. It's like, my God.
Dubay, that's a tough one.
Well, is it really about honesty when you're talking about measurement? Like, what the hell is going on with these people? Are they retarded?
Yeah. They think the reason we are here in a flat earth arena is because we don't trust globe proponents. That's what they believe.
You know, when the show was going on yesterday, well, no, when I came in when the show was ended, and Righteous was asking me how the conversations in like politics 24/7 is going, or 24/7. And I just told him, I said, you know, a lot of people ask a lot of questions, and I've just gotten good at telling them that, oh, I don't know anything about that, until I've exhausted them to the point they're like, well, why are you here? Ah, glad you've asked, because most people run away from asking me why I'm here. And obviously, you guys know what arguments I go with. So, but that's the problem. They don't actually want to know why we're here. That's why they don't know.
I don't know with Dubay because he's so closed up to the rest of the world almost. You know, he sits there in his little place and he records his videos and
runs a forum that you can join.
He pops on a video every now and again with people like Nathan or Dell.
And runs the what? With Nathan? Come again? Dan, Mr. Research, I have never, ever spoken to Dubay. Never. The single, and I kid you not, only interaction I've ever had with Eric Dubay was when I sent a super chat on our video that I thought he made that was fantastic, and he said, thanks, Nathan. That is the only interaction I have ever had with Eric Dubay. Yet, according to SciManDan, he and I are chatting on shows.
But you hardly ever see him, and he never responds. I've tried to speak to him so many times, and he never responds to me, ever, with any questions I ask him. So
yeah, me neither. He doesn't respond to me either. I mean, I've only contacted him probably 8 years ago when I was doing shows and interviewing people, which I don't really do anymore. But yeah, he didn't respond to me.
It's a tough one.
What questions does he ask them?
What questions they asking Dubay? I don't know. They didn't. I don't think they say.
I don't know. I'm on the fence with him.
Okay, fair enough. You mentioned Nathan Oakley. What about him?
100% not a flat earther.
Really?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. As close as
you can.
Yeah, but listen, you know what's crazy? The one person in the litany of people that he's probably going to mention is the only person that actually directly addresses the geometry and the claims that are actually on the table. Is the only person that's actually having the positive assertion that it's measured flat. And he's like, "Oh, this one's not one."
But that's why, Eli. That's why it's calculated. That's very smart of him to say that.
Nah, I just see it as wishful thinking.
No, Nathan knows how Earth is measured. He's got to be faking being a flat earther. He knows how Earth is measured. Nah.
Yeah, but if he can get his audience to believe that, that's all that matters. The guy that has the direct proof of Earth and is using it as a silver bullet, he's not a real flat earther. Yeah, it's a pretty good move by Dan.
100% that I can get.
Interesting. Okay.
He does not believe it because he's got a daily show. He uploads videos all the time. Talked about being financially dependent on YouTube. So, and there's been things that have happened in the past where we've seen, messages have been leaked between him and Sleeping Warrior, where he's saying, don't talk about this because it's proof of the globe and things like that. So, I think Nathan is in it for financial gain.
Same appeal to motive.
You and Sleeping Warrior holding back the proof.
But it's the same. It's appeal to motive. So saying my motivation is to make money on YouTube, and it is. That is something I do disclaim because it is my job. This is my job and what I do to pay the mortgage and pay the, well, I shouldn't say that at the moment. I'm not covering him, but that's not the positive vibe I want to put out to my audience. But yeah, this is my job. So I phrase it sometimes as having two hats. One hat is a YouTube hat and one hat is a flat earther hat. And they're different hats. But yeah, I am here. But you can't say because I'm here making videos, I'm therefore essentially saying I'm a liar. He's claiming I lie about proving Earth's flat with measurements. I mean, I don't really understand why you would get that from anything I do ever. And like Deception Detective says, you take people at what they say. That's what you can go on. Well, what I say is Earth's measured flat. But Dan, the man with the crystal balls, divined that I actually don't believe it's flat when I'm showing people how it's measured that way. I don't really know. As I say, I perceive that to be wishful thinking. You have your own opinions. Leave your comments below.
No, he's using that thing with you and Sleeping Warrior, that nonsense where you told them not to show because they'll say that's perfect globe proof, and that's what he's latched onto. Pathetic.
Okay. I mean, if it requires it, contextualizing a back office conversation that got put up onto a live stream by some cat guy, I can't remember his full name, but Sleeping Warrior and I had gone out to some bees and filmed a lighthouse 30 miles away across a body of water, and what we got on the camera was a 180-degree rotation to see me, Spurs Chemo, my wife, Anthony's missus at the time, standing behind the tripod. Obviously, you can't see the tripod, it's filming. And then it rotates round, points at the Isle of Man, and captures this light 30 miles away. Absolutely, unequivocally, only possible on a flat Earth, because we can see it and it's there, and there's no claim to be obstruction of a sphere-Earth horizon in the way. There's no Earth curve hill blocking our view of this lighthouse. According to their maths, it shouldn't be there. Anthony wants to roll with it as a flat Earth proof. I do not. I'm like, it's just a light. It's one pixel flashing. Now, yeah, when we're standing looking, we can see the outline of the Isle of Man in really low light because our human eyeballs are far better than this crappy camera that's worth $5,000. Meanwhile, they will just see a flashing single pixel and claim it's globe proof. They always do. That was my response to Anthony. He comes back and argues the maths and shows how it can't be visible or it can only be seen on a flat Earth and blah, blah, blah. And I point out to him that they will start claiming Fresnel lenses project this light out to a point in the distance that's above the horizon for them, therefore not blocked by Earth curve. They'll just claim it's a perfect globe proof, as they always do. Now, this is an in-person conversation back and forth at St. Bees, at a caravan where we're there literally with loads of cameras taking observations of the Isle of Man because it was visible 30 miles away, or 30 miles plus. Anyway, several weeks later we get back, and in discussion and debate, Anthony is absolutely itching to release this footage that I'm dissuading him from using because I think it's crap. And he really wants to prove it is flat with this flashing dot single pixel that I'm telling him not to release. Because I'm saying it's just going to end up being globe perfect proof, or whatever I said to him. I can't remember how I phrased it. Now that got put up on screen because Anthony was sharing his screen while he and I were having a conversation in the background about not releasing a piece of footage that was crap. And I, in my way, told him and reminded him in shorthand, it's perfect globe proof. That's my way of saying that's what they'll claim it is, because we'd had the conversation for hours. Now, I say hours, it was hours. From dusk till about 1 a.m, all 5 of us, or however many of us were there in this caravan, were arguing about this particular bit of footage that we'd just captured for hours and hours and hours and hours. So, like I say, a back office conversation where I dissuade Anthony from releasing a piece of crap footage by saying it's going to be claimed to be perfect globe proof in shorthand form, whatever I said to him, has been taken to be me withholding, quote, quote, perfect globe proof from the ballers. No. If you actually had the evidence that was being discussed, you'd just present it as globe proof if it was globe proof. It isn't globe proof. If anything, Anthony was absolutely correct in the first instance. He can claim it proves a flat earth when you see a single pixel on a black screen flashing. I'm going to go with you'll just say that pixel proves nothing. In fact, if you're claiming it is a lighthouse, it's projected out like the Batman signal, which was my rebuttal to Anthony when putting the ball aside in Devil's Advocate out as some bees. So hopefully that's a reasonably decent enough summary of what happened about 7 years ago that, I don't know, Dan is now holding as I believe Earth is a globe, because 7 years ago there's a out of context back office message that was put up on a live stream by a globe zealot trying to catch us out. That's your proof. Okay, keep it. You can have it. If you want to hold me as being your arbiter of globe proof with a piece of evidence that's never been presented based on a back office comment caught in a live stream in the heat of debate, then you can have that, Dan, by all means.
Nathan.
How does a geometric obstruction happen without sea level being a horizontal plane?
It can't. They need a horizontal plane of reference, aka sea level, to reference to make their assertions of a geometric horizon nobody's claiming. I mean, what is it? No Atmo Day, Rachie? Below the surface level that's actually measured in their maths. It's very specifically labelled surface level. You need that to get angles.
Does Rachie have a new argument or something?
Yeah, she says, what is it? No Atmo Day? Just like Toon did in my comments. Unreal. Perfect timing, right?
Atmosphere is based on sea level. Well, how does that help her?
It really doesn't. When our current discussions are about elevation angle measurements being mapped onto the Earth. What is it? No Atmo Day? Those positions aren't with respect to the tangent point horizon? Well, that's definitely not a point on the ground with reference to latitude, now is it? I mean, what is it? No Atmo Day? Let's move on.
I agree.
So he's reiterating the point that George was making in the before the live show, basically. That's what John is saying.
I was going to say something really quick. I was going to say if it's appeal to motivation, that doesn't make sense, because if it was motivation to making money, you'd be a glober, not a flat earther.
Yeah, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, someone identified it as projection. I think it might have been Neil.
More defending the globe, though.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what he just said. He'd make more defending the globe.
But it's too late now. It seems like once you go back to, because everyone started out as a glober, and no one was flat earthers until they start watching videos. Once you go back, you're ostracized.
Yeah, you're totally cut. Like, obviously, we know Seek Truth, Speak Truth. We know Ranty, and we know now recently Rachie.
Yeah.
However many zeros it is.
I'm looking to speak with her as well, actually.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Because, like, again, but she was another one who was quite honest. You know, she was trying to find. Her and Ranty was similar.
Honest? She went from globe believer to flat earther to upward rising earther to glober again. Honest? At which of those 4 stages was she being honest?
You know, she was trying to find out things about the world.
Going up?
And Ranty was the observational guy, and you know, the second he saw that photo and he couldn't explain it.
Well, a photo he didn't take that was about 7 years old when he was out with drones that he begged for and didn't use. What, some other footage that absolutely annihilated and made cats disappear permanently because he had to take optical reference to a flat earth. That image. That image that Ranty disappeared back to the globe because it was more profitable, as you just disclaimed only 10 seconds earlier. I'm pretty sure he went over to the globe because it was more profitable, because the image you're referring to destroyed conspiracy cats. I'll give you a flat earth, end quote, conspiracy cats. Yeah, he had to, because he was describing optical changes with respect to a flat plane, Dan. That image? Oh, we'll have to rehash that one then. If you feel that that's a globe proof, we'll show you how flat earth was measured, my friend. Just like I told your buddy who's interviewing you in the comment section. You offer up your globe proof, see? In this case, Ranty's conversion material that needed a flat earth to describe. Even your own globe brethren had to give us a flat earth, end quote, conspiracy cats, to describe that image. Did you not know that, Dan? Yeah, you know about as much about this as you do about who's talked to Eric DeBay.
That was it for him.
Bob Nadell, rest in peace. Honest flat earther.
I think he is, or he was, but I just don't think he was getting the results he wanted to prove what he thought was true.
Yeah.
Which is, why with the hot mic in the documentary where.
Sorry, is Dan about to talk about something that in the documentary talked about reference frames? Ooh, this could get interesting. Uh-oh.
He was saying, if we put out what we know now, we're in big trouble because it doesn't really prove what we want it to prove. I mean,
what would that be, Dan? In terms of a globe claim, I'm pretty sure that gyroscopes are making reference by way of Foucault to reference frames, Dan. 2 of them. Were you unaware? I'm pretty sure that you annihilated this when you entered into debate with me via Twitter. Go ahead, whoever that was.
Hey, Nathan, besides all these fallacies, don't all these fall under the umbrella of one big genetic fallacy?
Yeah, they do. Well spotted.
I mean, fair play for trying to, use experimentation to prove that what they want to prove, but...
No, Bob didn't have an experiment. I'm pretty sure that probably didn't help in terms of his demise. The stress of an assertion that he had scientific validity. No, he didn't. He had an affirming the consequent fallacy that used 2 reference frames, Dan, but we'll get back to those.
They just didn't get the result they wanted, so they kept going. And they kept going, and they kept going. And that is typical of flat earthers. If they don't get the result they want, it's either a duff experiment or they'll try again and try and get the result they want.
Oh, well, that sounded like a summary of the scientific method, Dan. Wow, how educated. Should I go into the scientific method for the benefit of either of these 2 clowns? Vote now in the chat.
Yes, because they don't know what it is. He already said that they did an experiment when they didn't. So you need to go into it.
Fine. An experiment is the assertion of cause and effect reasoning based on a hypothesis. To assert something is an experiment would be to say that you have observed a natural phenomena, that is something occurring in nature, and gone, I wonder what causes that. It simultaneously becomes your dependent variable in a hypothesis. You also have to assume something you believe will cause the effect. That's a suppositional statement now because you have an independent variable, your suppositional statement of cause, plus your dependent variable, the effect you're trying to induce. So your suppositional statement, thus far, is if independent variable, then dependent variable, aka cause and effect. Alongside that hypothesis is a null, which states the antithesis of your prediction. That would be if independent variable, then not dependent variable. That is to say, you will vary your supposed cause and it will not induce the effect. These 2 statements form what is known as a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis. The 2 statements cannot be mutually inclusive because it makes no logical sense to have A causing B and A not causing B. That cannot happen. So, upon variation of your independent variable, that's suppositional causal influencer, it will either cause the effect you observed in nature or not cause the effect you observed in nature. If it is performed correctly, you vary your independent variable and either cause the effect or don't, thus proving one of those 2 statements true upon validation of the hypothesis. That is to say, you actualize your suppositional statement into reality by way of an experiment. Finally coming to the conclusion that makes Dan a poorly educated moron. Because an experiment is the actualization of your presumed cause of an effect you are studying, as opposed to looking at what gyros do. There is no observed phenomena in nature when it comes to the observation of technology, in this case gyros. You don't know what science is, Dan. That's why your half-assed attempt to describe this as them not, going through the method and doing it again because it's a bunk experiment, that was pathetic.
I think he was truly surprised when the results didn't come back.
Definitely. And the same with Jaren as well in that. And
we're moving on. So what didn't he expect, Dan? Could you not break it down for us? I mean, we were talking about a demonstration that was implied to prove that Earth was spinning by way of 2 reference frames. You see, I have a very strong recollection of you proactively entering into debate with me via Twitter. Like you decided that you had a debating point that you wanted to put to me, like you'd won a point when you proactively contacted me to challenge me in debate with an argument point. Do you not remember this, Dan? You entering into debate with me via Twitter? Maybe we'll have to jog your memory about it. Maybe you've deluded yourself that this didn't happen and you're about to lie about it. We'll soon find out.
Obviously, Jaren has done countless live streams with damage control on that one.
That damage control? We'll find out about how damaging it is to suggest that reference frames are ruined. Unless you just don't mention what the problem was with Bob's quasi-experiment, as you failed to define it as.
You think that he's been converted in the back of his mind?
I think so. Yeah. I think how can you get those results and not be? The damage control after that documentary went out on Netflix was mind-blowing. How he came out and did everything he could to try and, say that this wasn't the case. And
what wasn't the case, Dan? You're hesitant to talk about reference frames? You do seem kind of hesitant to talk about reference frames there, Dan. You'd think you'd demonstrate to the audience precisely what was being obliterated or proving a globe in this instance, because that's what Netflix did. I mean, obviously, there was quite heavy reference on there being reference frames, the ones that, well, we'll get into that later.
And I interviewed the director of that film on my podcast.
Did you ask him about reference frames?
He initially, before it was out on Netflix, he messaged me and said, look, this film is out soon. I'd really like your opinion on it. And I did like the review on the channel where I went through it all. And then it came out on Netflix about 2 or 3 months later after that. And
So Dan has done a review on Behind the Curve. That's interesting. Maybe we could reference what Dan specifically said when it came to the section on reference frames.
See, everyone saw it then. And the director, Daniel Clark, he said it went exactly how it says how it shows it in the documentary. There was no messing around. It just exactly happened how we've shown it. And
what? Why aren't we hearing how these examples prove anything?
We haven't heard any bit of specificity regarding the globe claims at all. This has all been just ad homs, and projection, and nonsense.
A lot of crystal ball reading as well.
He was absolutely gobsmacked that the result was with the light and stuff that he could see it. He couldn't see it, and then he could when they raised it up.
Oh, so you managed to have a little degree of specificity when it came to Jaren, but not Bob. That's interesting. Very interesting.
I just don't understand how you can not.
Yeah, John.
Well, they did raise it up, which up is relative to a flat plane. Does he not understand that up is only possible on a flat Earth?
I don't think Dan would appreciate that. Maybe you'd like to highlight that to him.
Yes, up is in a vertical vector, and the vertical vector is with respect to a flat plane.
You're going to need a flat Earth to
just so
describe
you
it.
know.
I'm keen to take the thunder and glory, and that was terrible of me. I'm so sorry. I've let myself down. I've let my family down. I've let the flat Earth down. I've let you down.
Realise yourself, well, okay, I might be wrong there.
I think you can hear it in his interest.
Yeah, you can
hear it.
You can hear it.
I don't know. I also hope to speak to Jaren one of these days. I asked MC, because MC2 and Jaren have spoken a few times.
Yeah,
he talked about a tangent plane. We recently covered that on Ballbusters. Jaren offered that up on behalf of Toon to me. Amazing that, given that he's supposed to be a flat earther. Nevertheless, Toon's tangent plane, when measuring with respect to the horizon, obliterates the notion that we have points on the ground. Because why is it? No Atmo Day? I mean, how are we measuring these straight lines with respect to a tangent point on the ground when it isn't on the ground? It's extending out into space. I mean, Toon knows this. We've addressed it multiple times. Not only have we addressed his tangent plane problem with respect to points on the ground, I mean, it obviously isn't no Atmo day, right, Rachie? Meanwhile, his elevation angle measurements in his challenge, Toon's challenge. 88 times I've told him personally that he needs to measure a flat Earth to get them. Toon knows it's flat. I mean, you're questioning our motivation and beliefs. McToon knows it's flat.
They have, yeah. I mean, I don't think he likes me very much, but he always takes the mick at me for having scientists tattooed on my arm. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to get another guy."
You've got scientists tattooed on your arm, and yet you did such a piss-poor job of describing how an experiment would be undertaken that what if they don't do it again and again and again, the experiment's bunk? I mean, that almost sounds like validation of a null hypothesis as I described it, but yet you've got scientists tattooed on you. That's interesting, isn't it, Dan?
It made me think of a
cause and effect relationship based on a hypothesis. No, it definitely didn't make you think of that, Dan.
a video I could do.
Imagine getting a tattoo of a scientist after saying that science doesn't prove things.
Imagine.
Asking Jaren to do an experiment or something, and if he did it,
an experiment or something. Maybe you could define that for us, Dan. What would an experiment or something, end quote, be? Do you know? Could you define it for us? Given that you're a, quote, scientist, I mean, it's tattooed on your body, so that basically makes it so.
Tattoo his name on my arm. Still need to work that one out yet. But...
What an experiment is? Yeah, you don't know.
Oh, that's good. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Jaren know about as much about what an experiment is as a 5-year-old does. That is to say, almost nothing.
One thing you don't do is you don't debate. And you've said in many videos you don't...
Come again? Sorry, did Dan just say no to that? You don't debate? Really? That seems a strange statement, Dan, given that you proactively contacted me with a debating point about reference frames. Why would you lie? Oh, you gotta lie to glurf, right? When you've suffered abject humiliation and total loss based on a debating point that you proactively tweeted to me, someone who runs a debating show, that's Dan not debating. Am I missing something here, ladies and gentlemen? Did Dan just say no? Do we have to listen to that again? Did I miss something?
Still need to work that one out yet. But...
Oh, that's good. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
One thing you don't do is you don't debate. And you've said in many videos...
No. Oh, Dan's just a liar. Dan does debate. Yeah? But when Dan debates, his debating points that he puts via Twitter to me proactively are so devastating that they get, and I kid you not, the shortest rebuttal ever in history. That is to say that the rebuttal to Dan's debating point he tweeted proactively to me was 0 words. That is to say that the rebuttal was to hold up Dan's proactively put to me debating point in isolation as it stood to debunk the very reference frames the globe Earth claims with Coriolis. And I quote, Dan, with his debating point, tweeted to me proactively, "You and your reference frames have been ruined." End quote, SciManDan, when debating me about the globe Earth that turns and that. Meanwhile, the Coriolis effect claim for a globe Earth that turns requires 2 reference frames that, what's that, Dan? They've been ruined. Now, you see, when you enter into a debate with someone, which you did, Dan, me, you lost. Immediately, the moment you pressed the send button on your proactive debate attempt, you lost before I even saw it. Before I even knew that you were engaging me in debate about a turning Earth and reference frames, you'd already lost before I read it. I mean, that is literally the quickest person ever to lose a debate in history, Dan. Because stating that you and your reference frames are ruined would be the annihilation of the claim that Earth has 2 reference frames, you complete spanner. So what's that? You're going to lie now about never debating? Why would you lie, Dan? Gotta lie to glurf, right? Yeah, you absolutely do. You do debate, Dan. You debated me about reference frames and lost immediately. Let's just set the record straight. Dan's a liar. Just so it's clear. You lost to me, sunshine. I still hold your quote up. Your debating point that you thought was a little win? Yeah, we still quote you to this day, Dan. That was your debating loss. Yeah? You're a poster child on a debating show for your debating loss. But you don't debate? Nah, you don't debate in person because you're a coward. You debated via Twitter, mate. And I absolutely handed your own ass before you even clicked send, didn't I, mate? Didn't I? Yeah? Don't lie. Yeah, make it explicitly clear that you don't debate face-to-face because you're a coward. And when you've debated behind Facebook or Twitter or wherever it is that cowards debate from, like you do, you lose badly. So make it clear in future, I do debate via Twitter, but I lose to people like Nathan. And it's really embarrassing because he holds my quote up for years and years and years to come as a stone-cold annihilation of reference frames, the very specific thing you tweeted about. I mean, this isn't like some caught out of context screenshot between me and Anthony about what perfect globe proof. What would that be, Dan? Oh, nothing. You don't have anything to back that. Oh, I've got a globe claim that needs reference frames, Dan. And according to you, they're ruined, mate. That would be you losing in debate, just so we're clear. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if your first statement is to concede the debate, you're not really debating then. He's kind of right.
I suppose you could say that entering into a debate that you immediately lose with your first statement is getting annihilated in debate. I certainly wouldn't decry that as him believing that he had a point that he was going to win, unless he's going to explicitly state that, no, I was throwing in the towel when I tweeted you to tell you that Earth can't be proved to spin with 2 reference frames because they're ruined. That was me throwing in the towel, ergo, I'm not a liar. I don't enter the debate. I threw in the towel with my concession. Now, he wasn't throwing in the towel, John. He thought he was entering into debate with a really good win when he tweeted me his debating point that has been held up for years since as an annihilation of the reference frames he was arguing about. You know, he was arguing about reference frames with an example of a little tractor towing along a man, showing that no 2 reference frames the globe needs for Coriolis. He had a little example that went along with it. You know, it was a full-on debate example. He's just a liar. I mean, maybe he was throwing in the towel with that example, I don't know. But I would suggest that that's definitely not the case. He was trying to debate me about the Earth turning and the reference frames that he ruined with his tweet. Reference frames ruined. Debate lost.
Well, he was traveling at surface level in that depiction. They were traveling along a surface level. It didn't seem to be hilly at all. So maybe he was conceding. He was just being dishonest now.
Maybe. It's nice that we can tie almost any, including Coriolis deflection and the lack thereof, because, quote, reference frames ruined, right, Dan? Remember when you lost in debate? Yeah, we can tie that back to a requirement for a flat Earth, just as I suggested in this gentleman's comments. Yeah, if you ever want to talk to us, maybe offer up a globe proof, see? We'll show you how flat Earth was measured to get there. Your little globe proof, see, that is.
Yes, you don't debate established fact.
Do we not? What, like Earth being measured flat? No, you offer up your globe proof, see, and we'll show you an established fact that Earth is measured flat.
It's a bit of there's 2 sort of reasons. One is that like I said, I don't debate established fact. It is an absolute fact that...
Sorry, that was a sentence fragment. I don't debate established fact. Fading facts is how the behavioural panel described that sort of language behaviour. Fading facts. Because it's an outright lie, isn't it, Dan? Established flat earther like Nathan Oakley. Oh, I'm just going to tweet in my win in debate about reference frames on Twitter. Because I'm too cowardly to actually debate these people face to face when I debate them via Twitter. But you do debate, Dan. Don't lie. Gotta lie to Glurf, right, Dan? When you suffer an embarrassing defeat in debate, you just lie about having debates. You do, Dan. You lose them to me, an established flat earther. Not one that's pretending to. Maybe that should get out. Weasel words, right? no, I am not lying because I said I don't debate established flat earthers. And Nathan's lying about it. I said it earlier. He doesn't really believe it's flat because my crystal ball told me. Therefore, not lying when I say I don't debate established flat earthers with fading facts. You are a liar, Dan. You debated me, you lost badly, and I didn't even need to reply to you. And in fact, I didn't reply to you because I could just immediately quote you back as the win in debate, the one you lost to me, an established flat earther.
The Earth is spherical. The second you enter into debate with them,
you lose because you decry your own reference frames needed to prove Coriolis, Dan. That's what actually happens. Let's see if Dan lies.
And you're giving him a platform to suggest that your mind is for turning. Now,
sorry, like Twitter, the platform you and I debated on. I mean, it was a very one-way proactive contacting of me via Twitter by you. I don't use Twitter. I just happened to notice your tweet that you sent me when you engaged in debate with me on that platform, like cowards do. Cowards don't discuss things face-to-face, Dan. Cowards tweet things, yeah? Like you do when you debate people. Me, when you lose. Remember? No? Good job I'm here to jog your memory, eh, you liar?
Now, obviously, MC2 and FTFE, all of that, they know that their mind's not turning, and they do it.
Yeah, we know. They're all zealots.
And they do some great proofs. I'm sure that people have been watching the debate and thought, well, hang on a sec, these flat earth.
Which debate would that be? They're certainly not watching me because they will be directed to people like zealots. Yeah, that's where the people who are inquiring about the debate get sent by an algorithm that favours them. So you think that's the debate. Let me get it straight. People who absolutely unequivocally will not change their mind are the people who offered up to the people searching as, quote, debate. Because that's what you see as a debate. Zealots stating their point of view is debate to you, isn't it, Dan? Yeah? We know you stated your point to me via Twitter and then lost immediately.
Earthers aren't correct, which is absolutely great. So half of it's for that reason, but the other half is because it absolutely winds up the flat earthers that I don't.
So does it wind me up? When you debate me, I mean, all of this is a lie. You're saying this is a reason why you don't debate because it winds flat earthers up. No, I'm pretty sure that you contacted me proactively. Like, literally, I had no horse in that race. So I wasn't contacting you. And you lost your debate with me via Twitter immediately. Literally, as soon as you press send, Dan. But now you're just going to lie and give a justification that what? Flat earthers get wound up by you not debating with them, even when me, an established flat earther, had no intention to involve myself in debate with you. You engaged me proactively and lost, Dan. But you say that's you winding flat earthers up by not debating them. You're just a complete liar, aren't you, Dan? What an outrage. I mean, do your audience know what an outright liar you are? I mean, maybe they need directing to my video so they can know what a massive liar you are. Yeah, just get it clear. Dan won't face people in a verbal conversation when he debates because he's a coward. When he debates via Twitter, he loses to established flat earthers immediately. Just to set the record straight, and I will, as long as Dan's talking on this subject and lying through his back teeth about what he don't do to wind flat earthers up. No, you don't do those things, Dan. So asserting that the things you don't do, that would be debate. Yeah, you do. With me, you lost. Winds flat earthers up? Very poor logic, I would say, and an outright lie. Shout out to Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. Can we talk shortly in the after show in regard to references? At Nathan. Thank you very much for the super chat.
I don't debate. They hate it. They hate that I don't debate.
I hate that Dan destroys reference frames. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
And it makes me laugh.
Me too. When you lie. It's a shame, Dan. It's such a shame you got to reduce yourself to lying through your back teeth. It's terrible, really.
I find it amusing, so I will stick.
Me too. Yeah, and poor show. Got to lie to Glurf.
To my guns and not debate.
It's funny because they do call.
Sorry, stick to your guns. What guns? The ones that you fired at me via Twitter. Stick to those guns, you lying shyster.
Call you out for not, and then they always say, at least I've seen it so many times.
Stereotyping fallacy to come.
To say, oh, debate, right? But he won't debate either.
Really not? How do you know? Have you asked him? How many times have you contacted debate to ask him to debate you? Ever?
No, I've asked debate. So there was a point where, you know,
Asked him what? Did you ask him to debate you? You've just made it clear that the point he's making about debating debate is something you won't do because you're a liar. You have me, Twitter, you lost. But what? You're going to answer in the affirmative for a question about debating debate? Man, this guy's absolutely outrageous, isn't he?
conspiracy cats. He's not really around much anymore, but he did a few debates on my channel, and I messaged debate saying, look, come on, big channel here, have a debate on Flat Earth with cats. Totally ignore me.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats ignored my 100+ renditions of gas pressure without a container. Funny how these people project the ignorance of others when literally Conspiracy Cats, your reference, has ignored the fact that you can't have gas pressure without a container as put to him 100+ times by me. And I kid you not, about 20+ times on a live show by Tommy, a boxer, who asked him repeatedly about how you have gas pressure without a container. And he didn't answer there, did he? Is he your example? Really? 120 times, my friend. Cats, yeah, your example. Poor show, lads, poor show.
He can respond, so.
Yeah, it makes me suspicious. I mean,
Yeah, me too. I wonder where Cats is now. He gave up his channels to other numpty liars. Maybe he's looking for how you can explain gas pressure without a container, given he was asked 100+ times about it, and then he buggered off. What was that you were saying? Something about repeating yourselves?
they could say the same about you, but this makes me suspicious.
Me too.
What do you make of the fact that flat earthers tried
Stereotyping fallacy to come
to debunk the globe rather than prove a flat earth? And
really, it's an interesting statement, given that moving into 2024, I get quite cross with my brethren in Flat Earth for affirming a debunking of a position they haven't made when it comes to a globe claim they shouldn't be talking about. I tell them they should just point out, be as simplistic as possible, Earth is measured flat. But yet your question to Dan is, why don't flat earthers prove Earth's flat and go around debunking the globe? No, definitely not. You see, Earth has been mapped and charted as flat, with elevation angle measurements. I mean, definitely not no Atmo Day. Hey, you listening, Rachie? Did you do yourself proud with that video? Did you know how epic your timing was? Yeah, so those elevation angle measurements that are plotted onto the ground and that, not refracted or anything, you know, it's definitely points on the ground. When you take angles off a flat Earth, that's not a tangent plane. We're talking about the Earth after all. What's that? You can't get angles off anything other than a flat plane? Well, then the globe's dead, isn't it? I mean, unequivocally died the moment you took an angle measurement off a flat Earth. And two knows it too, doesn't he? Yeah? Two knows it. Conspiracy Cats knows space is fake. We can state these things as fact. Yeah? Because we've told them in no uncertain terms, and there is no rebuttal. Just 120 repetitions, or in the case of Toon, 88 repetitions, of the fact that the angle measurements that are required for you to assert you're on a globe require a flat Earth to be measured in all instances.
And do you even agree with that statement? And what do you make of it?
No.
What, do you agree? You agree? What, when I've just told you how Earth's measured flat? I mean, that seems a bit unreasonable. I'm literally telling you, Earth is measured flat. Not only that, all of the globe inferences that you make as a fundy numpty come from those flat Earth measurements of angles to stars. You know, with reference to points on the ground that become latitude, got to be points on the ground. I mean, they can't be out in a tangent plane or refracted. They're points on the ground. Globe shape for you, unacquirable unless you've got a flat Earth to measure angles from. Just so we're clear, that's proof that we're measuring Earth flat for you to make a numpty globe claim. I mean, that's a double whammy. You have to make a measurement of a flat Earth for you to claim you're on a globe, which makes no sense. Meanwhile, the measurements are flat. Is that me just debunking a globe? Or is it me proving the flat Earth measurements, proving that we're flat? Debunk a globe, because you're using them to claim a globe. You just didn't know that yet, did you? But you thought we all just go around debunking globes all the time. Well, maybe till 2020, with the Black Swan, maybe. But since then, we prove Earth's flat here, at the tip of the spear on Flat Earth debate, where people enter into debate by all sorts of means, including Twitter.
No, that is something I talk about all the time. So if I'm interacting with people, sometimes on Twitter or sometimes on Instagram.
Oh, interesting disclaimer that you interact with people on Twitter there, Dan. Like when you enter into debate with me on Twitter. Little bit of leakage, as we call it. A little bit of leakage there, Dan.
Message me.
Was that the leakage about your lie earlier? I'm pretty sure it is.
I'll ask for, I call it positive flat earth proof, because they don't tend to do that. You bang on.
Tend to? Oh, well, we do. Earth's measured flat, Dan. All of your globe claims come from those measurements, like latitude and longitude, points on the ground. Maybe you could tell me that those points on the ground we measure aren't actually on the ground. Maybe they're refracted. Maybe Rachel will come to your rescue with refraction and no Atmo day for straight lines and angles on the ground.
You know this statement, I can't really hold that against them, because in a large part, yeah, a lot of what we've done, or most flat earthers have done, is debunk the globe in the past few years. But I find it funny that they're bringing this up now, because that's changed, especially here. That's about to switch up really hard and really fast. So prepare your ass, Dan, because that's what's going to happen. And the rebuttals that we're getting from you guys, it's not looking good.
Yeah, the year of Genesis may not have hit home with them yet.
Oh, no, not yet. Not even remotely. But listen to how
no one caught that, John.
Important
Hold
it
on,
is.
Chocolate. No one caught that. 2024, the year of flat Earth Genesis. That has such a sweet ring. That was beautiful. Can you repeat that, please, John?
Maybe the year of Genesis hasn't caught up to them yet. That, that's what we're doing now, is proving Earth's flat. Them too,
Yep.
Go on, Chocolate. I'm sorry to have rumpushed your point.
No, you're good, man. I just like that they're talking about this particular thing right now. That they just run around debunking the globe and not proving flat. Yeah. That's probably something that you guys wanted, right? That's gonna change. So prepare yourselves.
It's all about trying to disprove the globe. Okay, fine. You can disprove the globe if you want to, but then...
Well, like you did on Twitter when you debated me.
The Earth could be unicorn shape after that. You're not...
No, it's measured. It's measured flat, Dan. Measured flat.
You need to give me positive proof that...
Like measurements, maps, charts, navigation, celestial navigation, areas of equal elevation, all of those sorts of things. Points on the ground that are measured, plotted onto your globe by way of flat Earth angles to Polaris. Things like that. Flat Earth measurements and that. There you go. Done. Maybe we'll get a response out of you, Dan. Maybe you'll say you don't debate and then start tweeting at me again. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I mean, you can always lie about it afterwards. You've got to lie to Glurf, haven't you, Dan?
The Earth is a flat plane.
Right.
And 90% of their arguments is, this means that the Earth isn't a globe, therefore it's flat.
No, I'm pretty sure that telling you how Earth is actually navigated, mapped, charted, plotted out, that's actually proof of how it's measured, because that's how it's measured, with elevation angle measurements to the stars. That's lines along the flat ground, that's called a baseline, and then a line up to the star, in this case Polaris, to give us a grid on a flat Earth. Now, don't get me wrong, you can stretch that flat Earth measurement around a globe, but then we get arguments like, well, measurement of the angle to Polaris for latitude is with respect to a tangent plane that isn't the ground, which obviously annihilates the assertion that these points on the ground are the ground when your own side, globe believers, are telling us how not the ground it is. That's a big problem when you're trying to prove the ground is spherical, because we are measuring the ground, and we are measuring the ground flat, Dan. Now, I'm pretty sure that that's just a proof that we're measuring the ground, and we're measuring the ground flat, because that is how we're doing it. Ipso facto. Earth is flat, Dan.
You literally sound like a Monty Python skit or something, like when you're saying, why would you expect the ground to be the ground when you measure the ground? I mean, that's how silly this is.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is what they're saying. It's insane.
That isn't good enough, really. They need to give us positive proof. And I'm sure...
Okay, celestial navigation. The latitude and longitude grid. There you go. Done. Can't use those systems without a flat Earth being measured. Simple. Go ahead, John.
Surveying. Eratosthenes, the assertion that there is a geometric horizon. All of these things require Earth to be flat. You just don't know that yet, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give a few more examples. Gravity. That's a downward bias. That's with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. Orbital motion. That's descriptions of the angular relationships of the stars measured off a flat plane. All of your concepts in heliocentrism reified into a notion that has been derived from measurements of a flat plane is exactly that. Merely a reification. Earth is measured flat. And all of your examples that you believe prove a globe were derived from a flat plane. They have their genesis in flat plane, flat Earth measurements. You just don't know it yet, Dan.
Atmosphere starts at sea level, not sea curve, sea level.
Earth curve. Earth curve itself. Earth curve itself is a derivation of a measurement with respect to surface level. And that surface level must be straight and parallel with eye level. The things in physical reality that make the assertion Earth has a curve are taken with respect to flat Earth measurements. The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I was about to say the idea of dropping from what you say, from surface level. You have a belief that things are dropping away from level. That's a flat plane.
Yeah.
That's your belief, though, when you describe drop.
Yeah.
It's with
Surveying.
respect to a flat plane.
Surveying, building on the Earth. I mean, got a message, I can't put it up on chat, but Croquet in the chat says, quote, "No, it's just flat," end quote, said the surveyor to Bev on the street. Yeah, surveying, it's just flat. End quote, surveyor, doing his job surveying the ground as flat and building on it flat. I mean, these people will tell you if you just approach them on the street, it's just flat.
Or if you entered into a debate with a flat earther and
like you did on Twitter with me. Let's see what he says next.
the topic of the debate was positive flat earth proof.
Ah, you proactively contacted me with your globe claim to be proof C that ended up annihilating the reference frame's need to claim Coriolis. That's what actually happened, Dan. But when you proactively enter into the debate you lie about entering into, they will immediately offer up a positive globe claim? No, I didn't say anything. I literally didn't even need to respond. 0 letters used in my Twitter response. Why? Well, because you're annihilating your own 2 reference claim when you tell me they're ruined, mate.
It would last 10 minutes.
10 minutes? It lasted 0 minutes, less than a nanosecond. The moment you press send on "you and your reference frames have been ruined," end quote, the reference frames used by you were ruined, Dan. Instantly.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Wouldn't be able to go on. Sorry, John.
What he's saying is that our list of positive proofs wouldn't make it past the introduction, where that's what he's implying. But as you've seen just a second ago, how many proofs did we list off that, whether it's a conceptual idea or a rhetorical device, it still requires Earth to be flat? You know, he's in trouble and he don't even know it.
About bashing the globe, they'd just start talking about the globe and they'd be like, no, you can't talk about the globe. Positive flat earth proof.
Oh, man. I'm going to trim that out. I'm going to replay that in its full entirety, last 10 seconds. Because that is my message. No.
That's why I'm saying it's so important that he's talking about it right now. Because look how they're hanging their hat on this.
Listen to Dan. What Dan is saying is exactly my sentiment in 2024. Stop arguing globe debunkings and start making positive assertions for how Earth is measured flat. Listen to what Dan just said.
It would last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be able to deal with it because they're all about bashing the globe. They'd just start talking about the globe and they'd be like, no, you can't talk about the globe. Positive flat earth proof.
Yeah, I agree entirely, Dan. As a message to my audience, listen to Dan. Dan saying, stop bashing the globe and start proving it's flat. Find that out at your pass this show around. Let everybody know that's the message. I agree entirely. Prove Earth's flat. Show them how it's measured. If they start offering you their globe proofsies, take their globe proofsies and show them how a flat Earth was required to make their claim. Show them how their globe used flat Earth measurements.
All right. I didn't want to just talk about flat Earth. There's been a lot of UAPs and UFOs in the news, especially these last few years. All the videos that have come out, the U.S. government releasing them, and then the testimony before Congress has been pretty compelling, in my opinion.
Really? We listened to some. You think it was compelling? A whole fat nothing burger as far as we could ascertain. Meanwhile, you're not having little green men coming from a sky vacuum. If little green men can traverse 10 to the minus 17 Tor sky vacuums and arrive here through the high-pressure gas that has no containment in a heliocentric model that would facilitate that, then the gas we breathe would fill the space in line with entropic law. We'd all be dead. Furthermore, we'd have never developed the gas pressure to enter via the sky vacuum if you're a little green man, because the first gas pressure particle would come out of the ground and never collide with anything. Just enter the sky vacuum, never to return. We'd never develop gas pressure in the heliocentric model. So no, you definitely don't have little green men coming from a sky vacuum. Outer space is fake. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space.
What is your opinion?
I'm of the opinion, like, if we've got evidence for it, then great.
You haven't. You can't ever provide evidence of men coming through the wardrobe back from Narnia because there is no Narnia. Therefore, there is no equivalence in a sky vacuum for men to come from. There is no lights in the sky with soil on them, with little green men on them to traverse through sky vacuums to high pressure, Dan. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, my friend. Definitely never going to have any evidence for it.
The question is, are UFOs evidence for anything other than an explanation that we can give for it not being any sort of alien life? The first person I go to whenever there's a new UFO sighting is Mick West. You heard of Mick West?
I know Mick West, yeah.
Yeah. He came here, Dan. Yeah, unlike you, he doesn't just debate via Twitter. He actually came on Flat Earth Debate and told us about how he assumes R in the Earth curve calculator. I mean, we've later found out that he didn't just assume R. The R itself was measured with respect to a flat plane. I mean, we didn't know that back when Mick West came and showed his face here. He doesn't just debate like a coward via Twitter, lose, and then lie about debating people. He's not a coward and a liar. He definitely admitted it. When push came to shove, he admitted. He was honest. He assumes the R value in his Earth curve maths. Mick West, that is, when he came here and faced the music about his assumptions. Those assumptions later turned out to be flat Earth measurements, I might add.
He breaks down every single one, like every single one he'll break down. There was the jellyfish one the other day. Did you see that?
I haven't seen that.
No, so it's it looks like a jellyfish floating, and he's like basically figured out it's a bunch of balloons.
Okay.
So Mick West, I'll go to Mick West first, and if he can't figure it out, then I'll be like, okay, well maybe there's something going on here. But
wow, you're telling me that you have literally no discernment? You can't figure this stuff out for yourself? You go to Mick West? Yeah, man with the least discernment gets the greatest audience. What does that tell you?
Well, that's the problem. He's going to Mick West instead of coming here and learning how to globe.
No. That means stop. No, not he should come here. No. Do you not think he should be able to exercise critical thinking skills of his own?
Yes. Exactly.
most of the time, he figures out exactly what's going on.
Okay. Mick West says Earth radius is assumed. Then we found out where it was measured, Dan. It's measured off a flat Earth. But it's definitely assumed, that is to say, a begging the question fallacy right on its face. Like the name of the calculator that I described when I'm pretending to be a flat earther. Begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. The begging the question part is affirmed by Mick West, Dan. Yeah, he made it explicitly clear, yeah, he assumes R in the calculator. We knew anyway, it's just nice to get him to actually honestly admit it. Unlike you, the lying glurf who claims you don't debate people because you lose on Twitter. When you debate me, you liar. Yeah, he actually faced me, though. He came on the show. He just walked straight through the open door that was available to him.
The exact quote was, it's an assumption based on the standard model.
Exactly. Everybody knows the Earth is a sphere. That's basically what he's saying.
Therefore, it's perfectly justified to beg the question. No, it's a fallacious set of reasonings that we got him to admit to.
And I don't think that if alien life has ever decided to travel away from its planet, I just think that
Planet? No. You were all right up until you said the word planet. No. Alien is a common vernacular word that we understand to mean someone who's come from another world, as in another land. Formerly known as other worlds, when they were plotted flat and charted flat and discovered flat, with the stars and the angle measurements that we used to navigate the world when we were expanding out the new worlds. And on them, we had aliens. So it's very much a common use of the word that we all are familiar with. It's just you are under the misapprehension that you've got a sky vacuum for these little green men to come from, aren't you, Dan? Well, that's absolutely absurd. It's a violation of natural law.
we're too far away from any alien life.
Too far? You see, to claim the distance would need a flat Earth to measure, Dan, because you see, Kepler takes the R value that's measured on a flat Earth, that's respect to Polaris, minimum elevation angle inferred, when measuring off a flat plane. So that measurement off a flat plane to Polaris gives you the R value that you take in Kepler's orbital motion and then utilise to infer, by assumption, that Venus has the same radial value measured off a flat plane, so you can apply the scale offered by Kepler. You don't have any distance to Venus, and you don't have Venus's size. So Kepler, quote, makes an ingenious assumption, end quote, that Venus has the same measured flat R value. Now that is where you get your distances from, Dan. That would be to say, your assumed proof C that you think leads your audience in this instance to a globe with orbital mechanics is actually a flat Earth measurement. This proof C you so easily lean on, so quickly refer to, has its genesis in a flat Earth measurement, Dan.
For them to come here.
Sometimes
shout out to Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. I'm trying to help. Celebrating a tool is obtaining a reference that is being called a measurement in wrong in fundamental way. I'm trying to help. A calibrating a tool is obtaining a reference. Okay, Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. What's a reference? Maybe John can help me out. I think what Lumpy Gas is trying to say is when calibrating a tool and obtaining a, quote, reference, that's being called a measurement incorrectly. I think that's what I'm interpreting from Super Chat that I've just got from Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum. Can you address that, John? Did you hear it, first of all? John? John? John! No. Reference to what, Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum? To establish that reference, you're talking about the ground in your measurement. That's what a reference is. Obtaining a reference, yeah, that's the ground. So when you say, I can't call it a measurement, it's wrong in a fundamental way. No, you've got the word that undoes that statement in your super chat. Reference. Yeah? Just look it up. Look what reference means. And then come back to me if you still don't think that I can call it a measurement of the ground when it fundamentally is the ground. That's what you're referencing. The ground. I don't know why some of our own side of Anthony Riley has this same vibe that he doesn't appreciate that the reference itself is the ground. But thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, this is common now with Flat Earth is fighting us over this.
It's all right. You've got to expect some pushback. People who don't appreciate certain aspects of things push back against them. I pushed back against dip correction 2 years ago with Brian. Why? Because I didn't understand it. It's just the way people are.
I wonder if the UAPs are extraterrestrial. Are they
extraterrestrial meaning from a sky vacuum? No. Gas would fill space. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Lumpy. Yes, we can hear you. Hello. Thanks for joining.
Okay. If I'm trying, right, if I send my micrometer into inspection or to a lab that's ISO certified, whatever, to verify zero's accurate, that's calibrating a tool. And you can't measure a reference. It's going to be heard by a lot of people that work in, manufacturing and different things, as this person is fundamentally not understanding how a measurement can be obtained. And I had to reply to a commenter. I challenge anyone to give me a measurement without a reference.
I thought I was with you up until you said that last statement. I don't think I'm following your point, Lumpy.
What happened? You're not following. Okay, demonstrate a measurement without a zero. Go.
But I don't know why you're asking me to do it.
Can you measure? Because you're confusing. You're calling obtaining a reference a measurement, and it isn't that. It is not that.
Okay. So
you can't measure without a reference.
Therefore, without a reference, and when we point a sextant at the horizon, what is that reference then?
You're calibrating the sextant. That's called calibrating.
What with what?
Okay. Again, if I close my micrometer, right?
No.
And it's
So
a 0 to 1.
Hold on, stop.
And my zero is not.
Answer the question.
Why are you doing this, Lumpy? What are we referencing again?
No, because it's fundamentally incorrect to call.
With a micrometer?
Okay.
I asked about sextant, and now I'm getting rumpused and obfuscated. I don't understand what's going on.
No,
Lumpy.
because it's fundamental.
Yeah, I heard that 4 times.
I'm not wrong. It's
and then
fundamental.
You've avoided my question, and now you're telling me
I want
repeatedly.
to use my micrometer, and it does not start at 0.
Okay.
I can obtain a measurement.
I heard. Thank you. What do we point the micrometer on when we're on the ship exactly? What are we pointing it at? The micrometer?
No, it's fundamental in how dimensions can be known.
Yeah, that's not my
Can
question.
you count without
Sorry, it's not my
at 0?
question. It's not. You seem to be obfuscating my question. It's the second time I've tried to paraphrase it to be kind.
I'm not.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll try again for a second time. We'll see if I get the same
Yes.
response, Lumpy. Just bear with me. I'm going to ask again. So we're on a boat, and we've got a sextant, and we're pointing it at the horizon. What are we referencing again? You started talking about micrometers last time I asked you this.
Oh, no, you're obtaining a reference. You don't have it yet.
No.
You're trying to obtain it.
Gotcha. So when we point at the horizon, we get that reference, do we?
Not if you don't use the horizon. I mean, you got to get to 0
Lumpy,
to get to
stop.
1, right?
Stop. Why are you telling me if we don't do the thing we're doing? Why are you doing that? It's infuriating. You're like Anthony Riley. No. If we don't stop. I'm talking, Lumpy. I'm talking.
That's not amazing.
I'm in the middle of talking. Yeah, I say, how do we get the reference? And you start rumpusing me immediately. I'm going to try again, 5th time. Lumpy, can you stop interrupting me, please? It's intolerable. You're dodging my question. You're ignoring what is fundamentally the principle when I ask you, what are we referencing with the horizon? Your response was, if it's not the horizon, infuriating. What you're saying is, your point is made void when we reference with the horizon. Can you not dodge it? Can you just accept that your point's void, please? Because it is. Can you accept it then? You've challenged me and rumpused the living crap out of me.
No, I'm trying to see if I can talk. I'm trying to see if I can talk. Can I talk now? Can I talk? The yeah was so. Can I be heard? Can you let me know? Am I being heard? God, Nathan, why? Why? How?
We
What's
hear you.
the matter with me talking?
Go.
We've heard you appealing to be able to be heard for the last minute.
You need to point. Listen, you need to point the section at the horizon, right? But the horizon flat is going to be the reference. What you're doing at that point is obtaining 0. Well, you can't measure from an unknown number to obtain 0 because it's not a measurement.
Sorry, it is being measured that way. That is precisely what. Sorry, I was going to respond. Were you still talking? I'm going to respond now. Yeah, that is what you're doing. You are referencing the ground when you point the sextant at the horizon. It's the sea. Did you not appreciate that? That is precisely what you're. And there you are again, talking through the middle of the. Yeah, you're just going to not tolerate me annihilating this point and voiding this point by pointing out that is what you do with a. Lumpy, you're being intolerable. I don't know why. I appreciate that being wrong sometimes is hard for people to accept. When we do reference the ground when we point a sextant at it to obtain our reference. Now you're saying that isn't referencing the ground when we reference the ground.
Nope.
Excuse me, I'm
No,
still
that's not what I said,
talking.
Nathan.
I'm still
I did
talking.
Not say that. Nathan, hold on.
Lumpy,
You wanna stop me when I
Lumpy,
said
I'm
something
still
wrong.
talking.
No.
Don't
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
However,
I
it's
don't
not
need to be
accurate.
told what I can do. I'm still talking
it's
while you're
manipulative.
rumpusing me. You're just rumpusing
You're
me.
manipulating.
Can you stop talking
don't
through the
care.
middle of me, please, Lumpy? Please. Yeah, you're referencing the ground. That's what you're doing with a sextant.
Well, can I talk? You
Every
don't
time
need
I
to
point
repeat
this
that
out to
again,
you, I gave you uninterrupted
calling
air
that a
time to ask
measurement.
if you could talk, and it seems like all you're going to do is decide that you're going to what? Make your half-assed point and rebuttals through the top of me. That's all you're going to do.
Okay, everybody that works in manufacturing is going to automatically think you don't understand what zero means.
Okay.
They're going to think you're a moron.
Sorry. Okay. In manufacturing, which lathe or CNC machine will we point at the horizon, please?
I mean, what is a datum? What is, like, flat doesn't actually exist. It's 2D. You can't
Really?
measure that.
So when we use the horizon to establish
Yes,
flat,
really.
sorry, when we use the
Yep,
horizon,
really.
so, you're not going to
Why
just
is that
chant
shocking?
really through the top of me. You don't need to chant really through the top of me, Lumpy. You don't need to do that. I'm not going to tolerate it much longer, in fact. You're really winding me up. Stop doing it. Yeah? The moment I start chanting through me, it's not going to work. Yeah? Stop it. No, when you reference the ground to establish horizontal, it uses the ground as the reference.
You make this confusing of when I can talk. And I know you're going to say I'm whining. Okay, what I have to say is, you just said that you reference the ground. That's not what you say and not what I'm trying to correct. You say you measure the earth flat. As a result of obtaining a reference, it is therefore flat. Because an angle measurement can't be measured without a flat reference. And that's a well done, but confusing them words is bad, wrong, incorrect.
An angle measurement. So an angle measurement, you're saying, can't be called a measurement then? It can only
thank you. Yeah, you need to have a zero to measure.
I
Yeah,
see.
Exactly.
Sorry, what do you mean, thank you? I will call an angle measurement a measurement of a flat earth because that is exactly what it is, Lumpy. So it's not, well, hooray, you understand. It's unreasonable to call an angle measurement a measurement, according to you. No, that's not unreasonable, Lumpy. I will call it a measurement of a flat earth because that's what it is. We reference...
Okay, that's fine. I don't care.
Sorry, don't care? Or just voided your point? Because that's what we're doing when we take that measurement.
I'm trying to help you. I don't
Excuse
make any
me.
money.
When we take that measurement, it's a measurement, Lumpy, of a
Are you
flat...
shocked? I don't make money.
Of a flat
I
earth.
don't care.
Of a flat earth that you want to rumpus when I make my conclusion that it's a measurement of a flat earth? The very thing you're contesting you don't care about when I make the conclusion. You're contesting it. I'm proving you wrong, but now you don't care through the top of me.
No, you're not wrong. You didn't. You're confusing words. Measuring is not referencing. It isn't.
Oh,
It will never be.
so the sextant is a referencing tool. That got your tongue? Don't want to talk through me now?
Answer the question.
It's the sextant's a referencing tool, or would you call it a measurement device?
How do you obtain a
Why are you
measurement
asking
while
me
you're
something?
referencing? Because
Excuse
you
me.
don't have zero yet.
Referencing isn't measuring.
Where's your numbers coming from?
So, excuse me, you seem to be avoiding the devastating point that you've tried to make failing. You said referencing isn't measuring. Okay, holding sextant. We're going to call it a reference tool, right? That's what we call sextants, right? Reference tools. No, Lumpy. Measurement tool. Your point is void. Clear? Yeah, we are measuring a flat earth, Lumpy. That's what we're doing when we measure with this measurement with a measuring tool. Your argument, when we reference, we don't measure. Well, what about when we measure? That's what we're doing with it, Lumpy. We're measuring.
Okay. Okay, here, I'm going to try one more time and I'm done. Can I be heard? Can you reply? Am I heard? Can I be heard?
Yeah, we're
Can
in
you
a
reply?
conversation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. I just want to know if I'm being heard. Okay, so when you get into the boat at first, how far from zero are you? Because you need an integer, a number there to measure back to zero, right? So where are you at when you begin? So you can measure from a place. If you confuse obtaining a reference and calling that a measurement, it's fundamentally incorrect. You can't use the sextant until you get your reference, because the measurement begins at zero.
And what are we
That's
referencing?
all I'm saying,
yeah,
dude.
we've done this twice. And what are we referencing again?
Yeah, and you're wrong.
What are we
Okay,
referencing
call it
again with the
reference a
sextant?
measurement.
We went to a
For the rest of
micrometer.
your
Now
life,
it's
for all I
a
care, but
non-stop rumpusing fest. Yeah, I heard you. Now I'm responding, Lumpy.
Get to me.
Yeah, so what are we referencing again when we measure with the horizon? What would we be referencing there with that tool, the sextant that measures? What are we referencing again, Lumpy? Oh, is he run away rather than rumpus me? We'd be referencing the horizon when we measure it with that tool that measures things. That'd be the ground. Yeah? So with a measurement of the ground that must be flat, we're not allowed to call it a measurement because it's only a referencing tool. No, it isn't. This point was void before it even made sense. Any comments on this? Anybody else feel that when we measure with respect to the ground, it's not a measurement, it's only a reference, and therefore not the ground that we're measuring because we reference the horizon when we measure with a measuring tool? I mean, has anybody else thought that this was a wonderful point that he was making?
Oh, he also
Well,
said
you
it's
remember how
not
you
flat.
said-
Sounds familiar.
Remember how you said with some people in the past, like Arwin or Brian, and they made points and we didn't get them until months later, and then we said, "Oh wow." So maybe it's one. I don't
This
know.
ain't
Like, I
one
don't
of
know
them.
exactly
This
what's
ain't.
going on, but
Yeah.
it is a possibility that we might be missing something.
Sorry, missing something?
No.
Sorry, let me get it straight. He says we're not measuring because we're only referencing. And we're not referencing. Okay? I ask him, what are we referencing? No answer. Yeah, we're referencing the horizon. What's the horizon? The point where the ground or sea meets the sky? So is that not the ground that we're referencing when we measure the ground? It's absurd. I'm not going to tolerate it. I don't care if it's lumpy gas in a vacuum and is friendly. What's right is right. It's not that your appeal to the future that could be wrong is going to fly either, righteous. What? Maybe I'm wrong. What, when I absolutely annihilate the point by pointing out what we are measuring when we measure? The ground that is flat.
Nathan?
It has to be.
I'm sorry, Nathan. What is the sextant?
Tool for measuring angles.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any comment on this? Brian, go ahead.
Elevation angle.
Let's I understand what he was trying to say. Let's say you're trying to measure your living room floor and you've got a waste pipe running down one of the corners. So it restricts you to measure the full width of your floor. So you have to measure from the waste pipe to one wall and then from that same point on the waste pipe to the other wall. That is the 0 point. And then obviously you add the figures together. Now, what he's saying with the horizon is you are forming your baseline to the horizon. Then you have to make a dip angle correction because you're above that level surface of the water. Unless you are basically laying on your belly.
Sorry, Brian. Brian.
Yeah, that's not what he said.
That's not what he said. Now, you can make that argument if you wish. Did you want to take that position? Because that is not what he said. If it was, I'd have responded to it. But if you want to take that position, you can.
What he's trying to state is...
Brian, I'll try again. He did not say that. You did. Do you now want to defend that position? Because it's not his to defend. He didn't say it. You did. Are you now putting that position to us that, no, dip correction, therefore not a measurement of the ground, You seem apprehensive about accepting this as your point to defend, Brian. Why would you be apprehensive? Surely he was making a good point that he didn't say, Brian. Do you not want to defend this? Do you not think it's a good point to stand on? You're not prepared to die on this hill? You seem apprehensive. I wonder why.
I understand what he's saying because I do a lot of measuring of pistons and bores and things.
Okay, no
and
problem.
You need a reference point to start from. That's what he was trying to convey. That's